The film you're about to see tells the story of the boots factory from its opening in 1949 to final closure on the 25th of February 2005. And more importantly, the story of the people whose skill and dedication contributed to its success for over half a century. The factory became a prominent feature and an important employer of the local people of Airdrie. At its peak, the factory employed over 1,000 workers, the majority of them women, and at times entire families.
This is just to give you a brief history of why the Boots Company found themselves in central Scotland, why an English company which was traditionally based in Nottingham decided to come and set roots down in central Scotland. In 1947, post the Second World War, the British government were trying to encourage new industry into this area because when the German bombers were having a go at Clydebank, some of their missiles weren't very accurate and an awful lot of the local industry in this area was flattened. That was coupled with the fact that the Boots Company had a need to distribute goods to all their stores in Scotland, and at that time all goods were being transported from Carlisle to places like Inverness, so the lorries were actually away for more than 2 days. So they decided to come into central Scotland, and this area here was, the whole ground was owned by a mining family, actually called the Motherwell family. That's coincidental that the factory's located in Motherwell Street, both named after the same family. So in 1947 the factory area was purchased and building commenced. Now there's many pictures of you showing the building starting production. It's a beautiful sandstone building. The company obviously had influence and managed to get good brickwork, and the traditional Boots sign above the door was built in 1948. So it took 2 years to build the factory, and the factory was opened in 1949. To give you a sight of the size of this site, the site is 150 acres, and we actually only populate about 1/10 of that. We've got farmland, and some of the other land hasn't been able to be used because of undermining. And I think one of our many claims to fame, we're actually the best football park in central Scotland, and it was much sought after by many of the professional clubs in which to train. But going back to the inventory we had at the time, it was a bit hodgepodge. We did everything from medicines to foods to orange juice and a bit of cosmetics. And that's how the kind of factory carried on for 20 years. And we even produced things like Sweetex up on the first floor next to aspirins. On the ground floor we did drinking chocolate and custard powder and orange, some shampoos and some cosmetics. And the whole world started to change in 1968 because of the Medicines Act. And the Medicines Act meant that you had to have specific locations in which to produce medicines. And the Boots Company decided that that would be in the Nottingham site, in the factory that we now know as D95. So all the medicines that we had were moved from the Airdrie site to Nottingham in the late 60s, early 70s. And the inventory we lost was replaced with even more cosmetics and toiletries. And one of the real strokes of luck we had, that because cosmetics was very skilled and not large volume, we were the chosen factory where the cosmetics came. And that's when number 7 started. And this factory, we have always looked after the #1 cosmetics brand that Boots has in number 7. 17 soon came along for the youngsters, and skincare and hair care, and the whole factory started to grow. When we got to 1980, there was a decision made to discontinue the distribution depot. At that time, every company in Scotland and in UK were centralising distribution, and the Boots Company made the decision to decentralise from Airdrie back onto the Nottingham site. So during the late 1979 and 1980, the distribution depots which ran along the South Dock was discontinued, and all that work transferred to Nottingham. The employees involved in that activity were relocated into the factory, and the factory continued to grow. And at that time, we probably, when I joined in 1979, there was about 900 employees. We all worked day shift, and we did a range of activities, still producing, believe it or not, some food products and drinking chocolate and custard powder. The factory manager at that time decided that, again, an act came out that the food had to be located in a specific location with specific facilities, and that again was moved to the D6 factory in Nottingham. And John Dixon, the factory manager at that time, made the decision that the Airdrie factory would be better served concentrating in cosmetics and added value toiletries. So at that time we lost the custard powder and the drinking chocolate, and some of the very large volume hair care ranges also went to Nottingham. And we were left doing cosmetics and the added value ranges. And that included Baby, Country Born, and the start of the sun care.
And we used to make everything too. When we came in here at first, the whole lot of the belts was on and everything was on. Epsom salts and body powder
oil and
everything.
all these things.
We used to work with turmeric. We used to have to wear we were all yellow. I mean, I just had my hair done, hair dye, and I came out, my hair was pure yellow. Everything was yellow. Even my underwear, we had to wear special underwear for that because everything turned yellow.
That's right.
And I get Les to fight me because I just got my hair done. I just got it right.
Okay,
So he got me money.
You
get my hair done.
Get your hair. Les was alright.
But we worked with some spices.
The inventory I had here continued to develop, and probably we've been involved in 5 relaunches of number 7, which does bring its trials and tribulations, as well as some great excitement. We've seen the development of the sun care range, development of Baby, and at our peak, you know, in some summer months when we were doing the gift box range, with 1,350 employees here. Some students, friends and family, and we have had over the years, we've had members of particular families that have been employed since 1947. The probably other big change we had here was in the early 90s when we decided to extend our supply chain by going into blow moulding and printing. And that opened in 1994. And at that time we started off, we thought we'd maybe do 10 to 12 million units a year. We finished up doing 35 million one year. And one claim to fame, and it's probably a sad claim to fame of blow moulding, is it was the last official of John Smith MP. He opened A14 and that was his last official duty before he tragically died. If you want to take the size of the inventory, if you look at the number of products, in any year we have 4,000 different products. We've produced 150 million units. And when you think about it, we've had a salary bill sometimes of excess of 20 million, which has been very, very important to the local economy. 4,000 different products. Something else which no other factory I believe can do, at one point we were introducing 5 new products per day into inventory. The factory has always been involved in new initiatives. We've been involved in team working, different computer systems, and the one thing that the factory will leave behind is a legacy of a staff from 1947 right up to the present day who were flexible, hard-working, loyal, and always wanted to encompass what the company wanted us to do.
We used to have quite a good social life in Boots attached to the factory. We used to have we had Christmas parties where all the place shut down on a Christmas day. Sorry, a day before Christmas. We all used to shut down and we all had our party in the department. They used to call it a fuddle, believe it or not. And we used to bring in all the goods were brought in by the girls and laid out on the table with all the fancy dress, hats and so forth. And that happened every Christmas for years and years. We used to have an annual dance, and all the managing directors used to come from Beeston for the dance, which was held in usually a local hotel. And the Roy Yard's House was the venue for the managing directors and people that came up. They stayed there and went to the dance with Boots employees. They used to have a terrific athletic side as well, where they had netball, they had competitions, and they used to go down to Nottingham. And they won a few times as well, I must admit. But they used to have table tennis, they had a tennis court, they had badminton, and quite a few different activities.
The factory and the staff have always been involved in the local community, and the charity work that has taken place in this factory has been second to none. The generosity and the willingness of the employees to contribute has never kind of ceased to amaze anybody. A statistic, in the last 5 years the employees have raised £30,000 for local charities. That can be anything from the hospice to the hospitals in Glasgow. And another thing that we were involved in a few years ago, the local hospice had a piece of ground that they wanted to convert into a garden for the people living there who were terminally ill. And we asked the blow moulding staff would they be interested in getting involved in a team challenge. And before we knew it, there was monoblocking lifted from the front of Ayr and transported back to Airdrie, and by getting local skilled businessmen involved and tradesmen, within 3 months the hospice had a beautiful garden with water features, all contributed by the efforts of people in this factory. Looking back, other great events, you look back, we used to have sports days. In the sports days we had everything from bed races to the traditional races, netball tournaments. In fact, in the very early days we had netball competitions at lunchtime. The sports days were real family occasions, and it wasn't just about sports. We brought fairgrounds in, we brought in the local fire brigade, local police dogs, and it really made it a great family occasion. But as time went on, people lost interest in such events, and they kind of disappeared. Probably disappeared with Robert Shaw, who was the production manager at that time, who was the real instigator behind of it. But one thing that will never ever be forgotten in this town is the Christmas parties. The Christmas parties were a great event where, started off, it was for the employees' children and grandchildren. The company gave us the premises, but all the funds were raised through the social club. And so at times we had parties with 600 children, 300 in the afternoon, 300 in the evening coming along to these parties. We didn't have magicians at the start. We used to run the parties ourselves and play team games. The thought was, who enjoyed it more? Was it the kids, or was it us who were trying to run them? If you think back, we've had situations, we've had Richard Carter up on the stage dressed as Donald Duck, comparing a party, and the ones at Jake Wilson will always be remembered. But I think more importantly, for less fortunate children of the town, they managed to get a ticket and they came along and they all left with a gift of substantial value, probably as good a gift as they would have received on Christmas Day. We've also been involved with the local schools over the years and Young Enterprise, and all the 3 local schools, Calder Vale, Airdrie Academy and St Margaret's, have been involved in different years with us. We've been involved in local businesses with Young Enterprise and Business Enterprise, and also involved with the local CAB. So that the company just hasn't been about the Airdrie site. It's extended much further and wider than that. And all of our employees have taken the opportunity to leave their mark in the town. And that is one thing that will be missed. How is that activity going to be replaced in the town of Airdrie? One of the other competitions that we started on an annual basis was a Miss Boots dance. Not exactly a title a young lady would want to be called as Miss Boots, but with a lot of work and a lot of commitment from the employees, we actually turned this, as I said, into an annual event. We probably ran about 7 or 8 of them, and we had them in various locations. We ran them in the town hall, we ran them on site, we ran them in Calderbank Community Centre. Turned them into a kind of party evening, the competition, then a disco and an opportunity to socialise. And these events will be long remembered. And the reigning Miss Boots must now be ready to draw her pension, because I think the last competition was probably about 15 years ago.
There used to be a famous, talking about canteens, there used to be a famous cook in the canteen called Mrs Bruce. She actually made these, they called them slab cakes. And there were certainly slab cakes. You could have made a couple of paths with them. They were absolutely solid. One of the times when we were in the lorries at the time, and you worked late, they used to give you a packed lunch, because obviously you were away in the lorry and you couldn't get a meal. So one of the occasions was the packed lunch was one of these date fingers she made, and we had them in our packed lunch. we actually opened up the thing, we went up to Perth and we stopped to have a meal about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We got the packed lunch out to start eating it, and we found out that one of the packs contained the famous Mrs. Bruce's date fingers. They were so hard we couldn't eat them. So we opened the window and threw them out onto the grass for a seagull which was sitting looking at us to eat. The poor bird ate them, and it started running down the road ready to take off, and of course the date fingers were that heavy it couldn't take off. And unfortunately a jaguar came up behind it and battered the poor thing to bits with the date finger still inside. It trotted along the road for about 4 feet and it got battered to bits with a jaguar, and that was the end of the poor seagull. So that was one of Mrs. Bruce's date fingers that he ate. So that was the end of it.
And everybody had their own friends, you know, you go to the toilet, right?
We could tell you about the week we all went on a holiday to Spain. There was so many of us, 18, and that there was the girls from the lab was in among that crowd, the vets department, and also before.
No, I was in the vets at the time.
There was some further departments, and then outsiders. But we all went. Mary Keenan.
Mary Keenan, she was the supervisor.
We all went to Spain. Now, when was that? 82?
Could be.
1982.
Could be.
We went to Spain.
And we had a wonderful time.
We had lots of days out. All the different ones and nights out and dances.
We used to have dances up, well, not in my time, but I can make them say they had dances up in the canteen.
That's right, we used to run the dances up in the canteen.
That's right, and beetle drives.
And then we used to go to Keep Fit up after work for a while.
But
that was good too.
Yes.
That all stopped.
And then we had a netball team.
That's right.
And the dries and the wets.
And
then the managers, the workers.
The vets department was the worst. We got a bad name because we were all fighters, the vets department. So we wasn't we? Vets department, I had a lot of ruffians in the vets department.
Got a bad name.
So we got a bad name.
The dries was the nice ones.
They were the fly ones.
Yes. They were very fly.
But it was when we worked in it, it was a nice place to work.
It was.
The girls were very nice. The management was very nice. We couldn't see a thing. When they come round on a Monday morning, our manager from the front office, it was good morning up and down the belts.
The one thing that we always must remember, that this factory has had many, in fact, hundreds of magnificent employees. We've had generations of families, we've had fathers, mothers, daughters, sons, and they've all left their mark. The Boots Company have been very fortunate because they've been a very skilled workforce, and I think that has been highlighted over the last 18 months. People's behaviour has been fantastic, everybody's continued to work hard, and that has been resulted in loads of people going out and getting good jobs. The work ethic they've had here will take them to corners far and wide in the world. Good work ethic, great skills and enthusiasm. You can't ask any more of people. On the other side, Boots have been a good employee for the area, and it's sad it's had to finish in this way. But in conclusion, all I would like to say to everybody is thanks a million, and as you move on in the rest of your life, good luck, best wishes, the best of health. Well, this is it. A very poignant day, the 25th of February 2005, the last day in the life of the Airdrie factory. Disappointing that the decision was made to close this factory, but what has happened over the last 2 years has just shown what great people worked here. People have worked hard, they've worked with dignity and they've worked with commitment, and we all leave today with our heads held high. Yes, we're all disappointed at the decision the company made, but I think we all can be proud that we actually work for a really good company. A company who gave us the opportunities to develop, gave us the opportunities of different jobs, and gave us a great opportunity to provide a good living for our family. As we go forward and we look back, let's go forward with pride, let's go forward into our new roles, into our new life, with heads held high. When we look back, don't look back with any bitterness. We're too good for that. Let's look back and remember the good times with the great people.
Hi, my name is Jake Wilson and it's now Friday 25th of February, D-Day for a lot of people. I started in Boots on the 23rd of October 1978, so just coming up on short of 27 years service. In that time I've done a lot here, but it's sad to see it the way that it is. But what I will remember, I'll remember the good times, the good people, and not the bad that's happened over the last 2 years. And anybody hearing this should apply the same philosophy, because there is life after Boots and it's time to write our own chapter in that book. So I wish everybody well in what they've chosen to do, and good luck for myself.
My name's Cathy Ray. I've been working with the Boots Company for over 11 years in the HR department. Just like to say that it's quite a sad day for me just now that Boots have actually done this to 1,300 employees, but life has to go on, and it's just another end. Oh, I don't know, just cut it. I'm going to.
Everybody, just before we go, I think it's relevant we say a few words. This is a kind of very poignant day for everyone as that are left. After nearly 55.5 years, this is the absolute end of an era. I don't think any of us ever agree what the decision was made, but I think as we leave here today, we can be proud. We can be proud in a few reasons. We can be proud because we did work for a very good company and they looked after us. Boots is a good company, we should never forget that. They gave us opportunities, development opportunities, job opportunities, and most of all gave us opportunities to look after our families with a decent standard of living. So I think we all should be thankful for that. But most of all, everyone that's left here today has another reason to be proud. The last 2 years have been difficult for everybody, and this group of people have stayed to the end to see it through. And at the end, to see the factory the way it is in a shell, it's difficult. But we were asked to do a job, and by God did we do it. So thanks a million to every one of you. Just before we leave, remember, this place is not, no matter what happened to this building, it doesn't matter. This building wasn't about the bricks and the mortar. It was about you and the rest of the people that worked here. So when you look back, don't look back with bitterness, don't look back with sorrow, look back with joy and all the great friends and all the laughs we had. Because we did some good times and some great times. So look back in the happy times. But most of all, today is about looking forward. Today is the start of the rest of our lives. So let's go for it.
The production departments are now just empty shells, stripped bare of all the items that gave them life and vitality. Gone are the sounds of machinery and the people's voices merging into one to create the sound of a living factory. The departments are silent now, save for the eerie noise of the occasional overhead fan, a sound barely noticed before. Less than 6 months ago, this department was alive, full of people doing the jobs they had done for years. Sadly, those days are now gone forever.
Guys,